Hi everyone. I'm back with our God's Will Not Mine videos. Obviously, it's been quite some time since I've done one, um, but I promised Bobby I would continue with the videos. He did not want his cancer to be in vain and his suffering, and he wanted something good to come out of this and continue. And I told him before he died that I would continue the videos and continue to bring God glory through the suffering and our journey, my family's journey. Um, as you have seen, the title of this vlog is Cancer Lost Its Battle with Bobby. And it did, because when God took Bobby's soul to heaven, that cancer had no way to live, no body to live from anymore. And so that was pleasing to know that when Bobby died, and I actually it was really something. First, let me back up. Bobby died the night that the storm came through and everybody lost power in Elginak. And I never want to say that I know what God has done or is doing outside of scripture. But what I do believe is that storm was definitely God in heaven coming through to take my husband. God in his power to came through, and actually Elginak got hit the hardest, and God, knowing the heaviness of our hearts and what this sickness has caused, and God was absolutely in control and said enough's enough, and came forth through the mighty wind and the storm and took Bobby's soul to glory. And I'd like to read a Psalm 20, a Psalm from the Bible. It's Psalm 29, and it kind of talks about what I'm saying about the storm, what I felt about the storm. And God's still in control of everything, and coming through with his power and majesty and might through the wind and the trees, and tearing through to get to my husband, to take him home, gave me peace. And then after the storm came through, it was so calm and quiet at my house, and the power was out, and we couldn't even get in touch with the funeral home because their voice service was down because the power. So I ended up having to call John Gilbert at home. Thank God, he's right by his phone. And Bobby had his number because they were friends. So that was just a really different night. Obviously, we were all had candles. It was very intimate, as painful as it was. We were all in the dark, and we had candles lit, and the Lord came through with that storm. And I probably fell asleep for 5 minutes in the middle of the night. And when I woke up, I fell asleep listening to Bobby breathe, and opened my eyes 5 minutes after dozing off and realized he had stopped breathing. And actually, when I went over to him and seeing that he had stopped breathing, I was just in awe that God had come and taken him and delivered him from all his pain and everything. He was not in his body. As much as I touched him and I ran my fingers through his hair, and I'm like, you're not even here. Like, he was gone with the Lord, and I literally fell on my knees and praised God for taking him out of his suffering. And I just felt God's grace and peace that night by candlelight, and the power being out and that storm coming. But let me read this psalm. The Psalm 29, starting in verse 7, says, "The voice of the Lord strikes with bolts of lightning. The voice of the Lord makes the barren wilderness quake. The Lord shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord twists the mighty oaks and strips the forest bare. In his temple, everyone shouts glory. The Lord rules over the floodwaters, and he reigns as king forever. The Lord gives his people strength, and the Lord blesses them with peace. So the voice of the Lord strikes with bolts of lightning, and the voice of the Lord makes the barren wilderness quake. That just reminded me how God came through, and just the night that he allowed us to have in peace that night. Like I said, as painful as it was. But we're doing okay. The kids are doing okay. There have been a lot of obviously low times, and it's been 2 weeks now, and I am crying out to the Lord in my pain, and went up north last weekend with everybody, and that I had some difficult moments, and I've never had a loss like this. I'm 49 years old and never lost someone so close to me. My parents are still alive. My siblings are still alive. My children are still alive. I have lost people I love, but nobody close to me. And I know so many of you out there have experienced this. And I'm a newbie here. And I am trying to decipher my grief from attacks from Satan, and it's going to be a process, but I will trust in God, even though it doesn't feel right and I don't understand. I'm not told to understand, I'm told to trust. I feel like this is all a mistake and a bad nightmare, but I know my faith in God is stronger than my faith in myself and the way I feel. So I keep saying that and Bobby, and I spoke about this before he died, that Bobby could never handle this part of it, and I could have never handled the cancer part of it. God knew what he was doing. Bobby handled his pain so gracefully, so much like Jesus. He never cared about what he was going through, just cared about everybody else around him. And he didn't complain. He never got grouchy. I was the one who was more grouchy and complained during that time of his cancer and the suffering and the treatments and all that. He would tell me that I had to get myself together and be ready for God to take him and be strong. And I promised him that I would, and that he would worry about that. And I told him that he knew that I knew where my help came from. And so I keep calling on God and saying, God, I told Bobby that I would know that my help comes from you, Lord, and you have to get me through this, get us all through this. Bobby had a passion for the people he loved and did not handle pain and emotions like this very well. He handled them with panic. And so I laugh, and the kids and I said, can you imagine if Mom would have died and Dad was here? He would be like a wreck. I mean, we're a wreck, but nothing like he would be. So I'm thankful that he's with God, and he's not suffering, but we miss him terribly. I've had to go through pictures of 13 years of our marriage, all the way through just raising the kids, and I feel like he's right there when I go through pictures and videos. And I know you guys all know these things from losing loved ones that are dear to you. It's a process, I'm sure, and we will get through it day by day. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say. There is something that I remember from last week when I was going to do the vlog. I was having a really good day and felt like, gosh, God's just given me peace. This is one day last week that I feel like I'm going to be okay and we're going to do this. And I got in my car. It was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I came to the stop sign at Nook Road and Field, and there was a man in a truck, a white truck, facing me. I was facing one way, and the sun must have been in his eyes, and I was kind of got there at the same time, and I was going to let him go. and I just kind of waited, and he must not been able to see me, and he got very, very angry that I wasn't going and threw his hands up and pointed like maybe at the sun that he couldn't see, and just expressed so much disgust toward me at that stop sign. I drove away from that man and I just was a wreck. I started crying over what he did at the stop sign. I know it was like all my emotions, over what I was going through, and thought, gosh, I'm letting one jerk at the stop sign, change my whole mood for the day. And it just like triggered. I was doing everything in my power, to depend on God and stay strong. And I was, and then he just treated me like that in his frustration on the road. And I'm sure he had no clue what I was going through. And that was my point. I'm like, I need to say this on my vlog. Like, when you're frustrated with people around you driving, just please be gracious toward people, because we don't know what they're going through. I've done the same thing, been frustrated or irritated with somebody on the phone, but we don't know what's keeping them together just for that very moment. And any, rudeness in us can just trigger emotions, that we don't want to be responsible for in God's eyes. So I did say a prayer for that man, and I know he didn't know what he was doing to me, but I just thought we need to be nicer out there. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys kind of an update on what was going on. I hope to see everybody Saturday at the memorial, and I know it's not listed on the obituary that there's food there, but we're going to have tons of food after the memorial. So if you can come out, great. Come out with a memory to share about Bobby. It's going to be pretty informal, but a beautiful day. And I thank everybody for their prayers and support for my family. We love you. Thanks.